Sure, let's do it.
Okay. Hi, Brittany. My name is Nicolette. I am the creator for the podcast titled You're Worthless. Read that again. The juxtaposition of your very soul. I'd like to say thank you very much for reaching out with that energy that I love so much to me to be interviewed on my podcast. I really appreciate it. And I think after reading your profile, I think you bring such beneficial insights to my listeners and also your following. So, without further ado, let me just read out an introduction about yourself to our listeners, and then we can dive into the questions.
Perfect. Sounds
Okay.
good.
Hi, guys. We have Brittany Cano. Cano?
Cano, you got it.
Cano. Oh, Cano. Okay. Who is the founder of Faithful Fitness by Brittany and Holistic Nurse Coaches. She has true passion for guiding others to prioritize their well-being so that they can fulfill their life's purpose with peace and passion. Brittany holds a bachelor's degree in science of nursing and is a certified life coach, personal trainer, health coach, EFT, and mindfulness practitioner, yoga instructor. She utilizes her background as a critical care nurse of 13 years, combined with her expertise in holistic wellness and somatic training, to bring you transformation that is enjoyable and sustainable. Welcome, Brittany.
Hi, Nicolette. Thanks for having me. Great to connect with you and your audience. And I love the title of your podcast. Definitely made me do that double look. I'm like, hold on, there's got to be something to this. I'm like, oh, this is good.
I love that reaction. I love getting that reaction from my guests. So, Brittany, tell us, what was it like growing up as Brittany Cano?
Well, I grew up in the Midwest of the United States. I'm definitely a small town girl. I had these great aspirations of being a big city girl when I was younger. And then when I experienced
Don't we
even a
all?
decent sized city, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm such a small town girl. So I grew up in the Midwest, lots of playing outdoors and kind of a little bit of a tomboy. Like, definitely like to do sports and get dirty and do all that kind of stuff. And we'd play like wars in our neighborhood. But then, when I was around 9 years old, my dad passed away. He was actually killed tragically, and so I think from there, I felt like I always was kind of an old soul. Says my mom. Like at 4, I was worried about taking the trash out. But at 9, really, I feel like I kind of entered adulthood in a lot of ways. And so, like, just, grew up fast from that point on. So
Right.
that was really, I think had such a profound impact on my life, losing my parents such a young age. And I was so close with my dad as well. So I feel like that incident really had a lot of definition of like how we identified ourselves and our family for a long time. Somebody who had this tragedy, like almost from it was hard. I don't want to take away from the grief of that, but almost like lived in some victimhood from that. So when I got older, I realized a lot of the choices I made were from a place of that grief, and like running from that pain. I spent a lot of time in my life running from that pain until about 10 years ago. Thank God, right? I had a wake up call that I listened to,
Right.
and really went down that journey of self discovery and healing. And I'm so grateful for that. I'm grateful for my entire path, right? Because even those hard times, those dark times, we learn a lot, we grow a lot, right? I don't think they're for nothing, but
Yes.
grateful that I have been able to work through a lot of that, and that like inspires the work that I do today. Like it really, those heartaches in my life are such an inspiration for the work that I do in the world.
Beautiful. So let's dive into that. So I think we can start with what is EFT. When I first saw it, I was like, is it exchange? No, it's ETI.
I know, right? It could be so many things. I think when you look up EFT too online, there's like different definitions. So the EFT that I am a practitioner of is called emotional freedom technique. It's also known as tapping. So we have like different acupressure points in our body. Like here's one on the side of the hand underneath the pinky for people who can't see us. And when we tap on these certain spots in the body, if you think about acupuncture, kind of the same idea, but when we tap with our fingertips on those, it lowers the body's stress response. So I don't know about you, but I already kind of feel like, I feel just a little bit more relaxed by doing that. So it lowers cortisol, which is really cool. And there's different tapping points.
Right.
And we combine that lowering of the stress response, that acupressure tapping,
Mm.
with modern day psychology. So
Ooh.
we address whatever is going on. Like, for example, just to make a broad statement, like, even though I'm under a ton of stress right now, like, I'm safe in this moment. Even though I'm under a ton of stress right now, like, I love and accept myself no matter what. And then we would tap through the points and you'd address wherever you're feeling tension. Like, I'm feeling the stress in my shoulders. I feel it in my jaw. I haven't been able to sleep. My thoughts are all over the place. I'm really
Yeah.
irritated, like whatever it is. And so some people might say, well, I don't want to think about that or bring attention to it. But here's the thing, like, so much of the time in life, we kind of try to shove these things that we don't want to deal with away. So with
Exactly.
EFT, we're able to address it, but from a lesser stress response because we're doing that tapping. So
Right.
actually, we face the whatever the issue is head on, but with less stress response to it. And
Mm-hmm.
then we'll feel like people will feel a shift. Like, people might rate their stress at an 8. And as we tap through, by the end, their stress is either, for that situation, maybe it's a 2, maybe it's gone, right? The stress level goes down.
Yeah.
And then once we like feel a decrease in stress, then it's like, I'm open to seeing this in a different way. You know what? I'm open to feeling peace in my mind. I'm open to letting go of this. I'm open to finding like healthy coping mechanisms. Maybe things aren't as bad as I'm feeling like they are. So like we come
Yeah.
like you do a whole journey with this tapping, but it only takes like 5 to 10 minutes, which is really cool.
Right. So it's like basically centering yourself by, so let's say if I have a like some like a pain on my shoulder, so I just tap here and then visualize. Is that right?
No, actually, there's like
Oh, there's
specific spots that you would tap and
oh,
you would
okay.
address though. Like I have, you can do it
Yeah.
for
I
pain.
I
Yeah,
I
you do
I
the,
I think
you've
I've
seen
seen
that?
people doing this. Yeah.
Yeah, where they're like tapping all over, like the eyebrow point, the side of the
I thought
eye.
it was like opening the third eye. Like,
It
all
could be
right.
that too. Some
Yeah.
people will do in the center, under the cheek, under the nose.
Oh.
And you can do it, if you are having pain there, but you just wouldn't specifically tap on the pain spots, but you could be
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I feel that pain. And you keep that curiosity piece towards the pain and explore the pain. Cause sometimes it's the resistance, right? That
Yeah.
like, oh, the pain is so horrible. I can't deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever it is, whether it's mental pain, physical pain. And sometimes in that resistance, we have more suffering, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Because the more you resist, the more energy would be, you know, clashing there, and therefore there's no
Exactly.
flow, right?
It does. It helps connect the mind, the body, the emotions. It also helps open up energy. Yeah.
Beautiful. So, Brittany, how did you go from nursing into holistic wellness coaching? Walk us through.
Yeah, actually
Great.
working in ICU, one night I had this patient and she was a code blue. So she'd stopped, her heart had
Okay,
stopped. We had to
I can you
resuscitate
walk
her.
me through the codes? So, like, I have friends who are nurses, but then I didn't
Yes.
know the codes.
Yeah, so a code blue where we work, right? Every place is different. It's when somebody either their breathing stops, their
Right.
heart stops, or
Right.
both, or they're
Okay.
on the brink of that. Like they're
Ooh.
gonna lose. They're on the verge of like losing life,
Okay.
right? So it's a very emergency response. So this patient was that,
Uh
and
huh.
we were able to bring her back to life, and she
Right.
came into the ICU. And this woman was young. She was in her 60s, early 60s. And she had a lot of preventable diseases. She had heart disease, she was overweight, she had high blood pressure, she had type 2 diabetes. And I just remember thinking, dang, like I would love to be able to help people not end up in this position. Because
Yeah.
while some things are not preventable, right? We can't prevent
Yeah.
absolutely everything. Certain things are. And around that same time was when I was going on my healing journey. So really, I'm just like, everybody who wants to know about the fact that we can take care of ourselves in a more meaningful way, that we can reverse disease, that we can overcome the shame and the pain of our past.
Yeah.
Anybody wants to know about that? Like, I want to share
Yeah.
that with them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I want to.
Yeah, right. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh. So that really, like, that patient plus my own journey, like, it was just inspired me. That's why I started my company probably like a month or two after that. And that
Really,
was back
just
in
like
2015. Yeah, yeah. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? So I
this is
started
it.
off,
Yeah.
yeah, I started off with health coaching and personal training. So I just added that into nursing because as
Component.
nurses, Yeah,
Right.
we know the body. We know how to take
Mm.
care of, we learn a lot about that in school. So I can like help from that angle and then add in those other skills was really helpful on how to really promote well-being.
Right. So you're so how busy are you? Like what does your day to day look like
Well, let me
back?
tell you, Nicolette, I used to be extremely busy. I am a recovering, have busy
Recovering
woman
overachiever.
syndrome recovering. Yes.
I am recovering overachiever.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Like during the pandemic, I was running my holistic wellness coaching business full time. I ended up going back and working in ICU full time during the pandemic.
Oh,
And I got burned out and I didn't even know I was burned out. And it really like my body spoke to me. My body was like a mess, all kinds of GI issues. Even though I felt like I was taking good care of myself, I have had a solid practice of taking care of myself at that time. So that was a really big wake up call for me to like explore what is a really true balance or between work and life.
oh my
I
god.
love what I do and it's easy for it to be all consuming.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking
Sometimes we
about?
tend to go to the extreme, right? Like okay,
Yes.
because we think that we found our passion. Okay, but I'm gonna throw everything that I have of my body into this. But then again, you will tip the scale. It's not balanced.
It
So
was not
how?
balanced. I
Yeah.
definitely like in my masculine energy, like
Oh my god. Yes.
90% of the
You're like
time, like I'm
go
like,
go
I
go
gotta
go.
grind, I got
Yeah.
this, got these goals, like let's do this. It was hard to
Yes.
rest, but I was just like, that's just how I am. Like I
Mm-hmm.
just am a busybody, I gotta get things done. And so now I definitely honor my cycles a lot more. I give myself breaks. Check in. I'm really like big on checking in on like where I'm at mentally, physically, emotionally, and choose from a place of like that self honoring place instead of like I have to
Oh,
do
that
this right
is
now.
so true. Yeah, like
But
I'm
it took a
actually
lot to
thinking
get
about.
to this point.
Oh yeah, it took about like I don't know, like retraining your mind and as well as talking to yourself so kindly that says, okay, just take the time off and then come back to it and not punish yourself for setting the okay 10 o'clock you gotta like for me just now I came back I have a 9 to 5 as well so I came back yeah I came back at around 8:30 and then I was like, lucky enough, I prepared your questions, so I was like scrolling a little bit, and then I took a 10 minutes nap, and I'm like,
You
okay,
did.
we can we can now get up and then prepare.
But
So
yeah, it's important to take those pockets of rest and take that
yes,
time. I used to like every day, like big on the time blocking, like back to back to back. Oh, I have 15 minutes. What can I do in this 15 minutes? And so I allow a lot more fluidity. There's times, right?
yes,
There's days
I
like that. Like this morning's kind of like that. I'm traveling at the end of the week. I used to, if I traveled, I'd be like, oh, how many clients can I still see while I'm traveling? And
oh my god,
now I try to
yes,
really be more immersed in whatever it is that I'm doing and like honor where I'm at too. Like make sure my capacity is able to fully be present with whatever it is that I
exactly,
have at
yeah,
hand. Yeah.
100% utilized, right? Like yeah,
Yeah.
that was really good. So, okay. How have your own personal traumas turned into triumph?
Well,
Well,
I'll give you one for example, the one I was just talking about, right? During the pandemic. At
mhm.
that point in time, it was like January, February of 2021. And I remember thinking like, okay, I should definitely be able to do more than I'm doing right now. Yes, I'm working full-time
Again, the
job.
struggle.
Yeah,
Again,
yes, I'm
the
working,
first
running,
yeah.
my coaching practice full time, but there's got to be a way I can do more than what I'm doing. And then I ended up in a gastroenterologist office with serious
Oh my
GI
god.
issues. And thank goodness I listened to that, right? Like I'm grateful that I had the wisdom to say, hold on, this
Mm-hmm.
isn't just happening for nothing. So for the listeners who are having physical symptoms, our
Mm-hmm.
body is communicating with us. Something's
Oh
up,
yeah.
pay attention. Like these are gifts. I know they don't feel like it, but if we choose to look at it, our body's really getting our
They
attention and
really
telling us,
speak. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, like,
Really
hey,
get
so I
our
listened to
attention.
that. Yeah,
Exactly.
I listened to that and like, yes, it was hard going through that and like the healing process of, having a tore up gut and all the issues I was having.
Mhm.
And it drives my work on such a deeper level now because I'm so
In
um
tune.
I yes, and I teach from a place of like we need to be able to self-regulate. It's a superpower to
Mm,
self-regulate rather than like, oh my gosh, how did I find myself in a GI office? Or how did I find myself it's so hard to get out of bed today? Or how do I find myself I can't sleep because I have so many projects going and I'm so wound up? Rather
yeah.
than ending up in those places,
Right.
we can self-regulate and notice when we're getting into those danger zones. So like a majority of what I do now is foundational work with my clients is let's regulate you. Let's teach you these tools to self-regulate because that's a superpower, right? That nobody
Yeah.
can take away from you really when we have
Yeah.
that ability to create our inner calm. Because so much of the time we're like, I'll be calm, I'll be okay when.
Yeah. When, yes.
Yeah, so that hardship really so much good has come out of it. And I like it feels really good to work and live in the way that I live now. It feels more aligned than before.
Yes.
And I thought, sometimes we are living aligned or
Mm-hmm.
we're living on our path and then something like a trauma happens and it just takes us even more closer to what's our truth, our North Star.
That is so true. That is I would say the switch that's gonna pivot you. Okay, you're ready, but we're gonna shake you up a bit. Let's get to
Oh,
that.
totally, totally. And then later on in 21, I had a situation happen. I haven't shared about it in detail, like publicly. I'm not quite ready yet, but it was really like where you feel like the rug's pulled out of you, like what you
Yeah.
think you really know to be
Yeah.
true. A lot of that was like, oh, so again, that was even more hard than the gut issues, like heart-wrenchingly hard, but it did give me the opportunity to notice, like discover where I was still like grieving my dad from 25 years ago. I would have never thought that. I've heard that, right? Like
Yeah.
I didn't know I hadn't grieved that person and I didn't think
Mm-hmm.
that that was me. And then I found, oh, unless you heal those wounds, they just keep showing up in some way, shape, or
Patterns.
form.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was like, oh, okay, in my face, I guess I still have, healing to do around this. We always have healing to do around this,
Yeah.
but it was definitely knock you down, but build you
Moment.
up, right? I'm in a
Yeah.
much better
Yeah.
place now, even from that. Like so many beautiful things have come out of that. I feel much closer to myself, much closer to my soul, to my work. I quit drinking alcohol. Like it just became like easy.
Like
Like
yeah.
yeah, like I don't really need that anymore. That's not really a substance that I need in my life. So those hard times that anybody listening knows about, if we choose, they can be the catalyst for really profound, beautiful change in our life.
So okay, let's move on to the next question. Like if you could share one wellness tip, what would it be?
It's gonna sound so simple. People
And
may not.
cliche.
It's breathing, like connecting with your breath and breathing down into the belly.
Right.
Like so much of the time we're wearing our shoulders as ears or earrings,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
drop those shoulders down, lengthen the spine, and breathe down into the belly. And let the exhale, let the out breath be longer than the inhale. And another breath I really like, it's going to be a double inhale through the nose and then a
Oh.
sigh. Do like 3 to 5 of those big
Wow, I
cleansing
felt like
breaths.
just one time, it's like my brain opened up a bit.
Yeah, it really does. It activates that parasympathetic nervous system. And for a lot of us,
Oh,
we're in the sympathetic so much. So it helps balance the nervous system, balance our body. And also it connects us with the moment. So we're more present in the moment and it connects us with ourselves. I mean, we breathe so many breaths a day, but so much of the time we
like
don't even
yeah,
pay
take it for
attention.
granted.
Yeah, yeah. So to start to really tune into the breath because it's an anchor, right? It's anchor into the present, anchor to ourselves, and then it has that ability to calm, ability to create that groundedness, and it's free.
Exactly. Yeah, I want to
And
say that
it's
it's
so
free.
simple. We can all do
You can do it
it.
anywhere, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So, how do you recommend someone get started on their healing journey?
I say follow the breadcrumbs. We're never going to have the whole picture figured out. I
Hmm.
know that we want to sometimes, or that it's pitched to us that we'll just have it all, that big, great plan. And yes, I'm all about having a plan and a vision. And it's like just getting started, whether it's with going to a therapist, if you have a lot
Yeah.
of emotional, mental stuff you're dealing with, you're not moving your body at all, start with walking. Like your eating is a wreck. Maybe you start with one meal a day, like that you're going to start to improve on, right? It's like doing that foundational work. What I find is we want the end game, right? We want
Yeah.
the ultimate health, whatever that is.
Yes.
And we have to really humble ourselves and remember, like, it's one thing at a time.
That
Like all those
time.
people, they didn't just weren't just born
They
into
don't,
that. Like there's
exactly. That
years of
this
journey
exactly
to get
dedication.
there. So get started. Stay consistent. That's something that, I hear a lot from my clients when we first start working together. It's so hard to stay consistent. So it's like picking something, staying consistent with it, lay the foundation, have a solid foundation. We have to, right? Because you
Yeah.
just habit hop, but you don't actually ever create that really consistent change. We have to have basics before we can go to the next level, like a video game, right? You don't just conquer the whole game. You have to do level after level. The same thing
Yeah.
goes for our wellness.
Okay, wait, hang on. My cat is just in the
Ah,
way.
I saw him back there. Yeah, my dog was in here. She ran off.
Yeah, you have one too.
You have a dog. Yeah, she's
Oh,
cute. She's about the size of the cat. She's kind of
oh, no.
small.
Yeah, this one is like everywhere. But today he's behaving. Yeah, it's
He's
just
got your
that.
home.
Yeah, this is actually my humble abode.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I just hooked up my corner and say, okay, you know what? I don't need fancy equipment for now. Riverside and a pad
Yeah,
is good
Riverside is
enough.
great. And it's
Oh
like
yeah, I love
same
it.
example, right? Just getting started. Right? We don't have to
Oh
have
my god,
all of the
yes,
things,
Brittany,
so
yeah.
many things to like
Yes.
when I get everything lined up, then I'll get
Then
started. It's like,
I'll
nope, right
go.
now.
Yeah,
Don't wait till Monday.
exactly.
Just get started. Environment's huge too. If you can set yourself up for success with your environment, like for
True.
example, if you're changing your eating habits, like
Hmm.
get the junk food out of the house, right?
Yeah.
Maybe don't go out to eat all the time with your friend that you like order
Yeah.
5 dishes, and you like can't, you know, fit your
Finish.
clothes by the time you leave. You're so miserable. Like,
Yeah.
talk to them, let them know, hey, this is what I'm up to. You got to like get everybody involved. That's like what I find
Yeah.
works a lot too, that accountability piece, like trying to set up your environment so that it's easy. We want to make it as
Yeah.
easy as we can.
Exactly. Like I started shifting 2 or 3 meals in a week by eating just vegetarian based food, and then I wasn't even my intention to influence my colleagues, but then whenever during lunchtime they would ask me like, Nicolette, do you wanna go and do you wanna have lunch with us? I said, I think today I'm having vegetarian. Do you wanna come? Vegetarian? Yeah. No, I like meat. Okay, fine. And then I think 2, 3 times they heard me saying that, and they said, I'm curious. What is this? Okay, let's go.
I'm so
So,
glad you brought that up. It's so true. So, like, that's another thing that when you start making those positive changes, it has a ripple effect to everybody around you. Like, I have a client who I worked with, and her husband got on the video call at the end of our coaching program. I was like, I don't know what y'all have done, but our relationship is so much better. And like he's like, I quit drinking. I haven't drank for 120 days, and I'm saving like $1,000 US a month. He was like, so just whatever you've done with her. And she never
oh,
told him
thank you.
about like not drinking or anything. She just worked on herself. And so she was
Right.
interacting with him differently. And same thing with you. Like you're like
Yeah.
eating vegetarian, and then people are like, oh, there are perks in that. Maybe I should just
Yeah.
join her for that.
And and that colleague of mine, he seen results. I think within 1 week he lost a few pounds. So
Yeah, cool.
Nicolette, you know what? I'm gonna make it my routine at least 3 days out of 7 days. I'm eating this. So whenever we go, we don't go to that same place, but we go to a different place. But even sometimes I will take chicken, he will stick to the veggies. And I'm like,
Nice.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of
Right,
myself.
it's getting all those phytonutrients, all that fiber.
Yeah, you go. It's like,
Right, yeah, it's so
thank you so
cool.
much. Yeah.
My husband will say that a lot. He's like, I'm healthier because, I'm married to you. But now, let me tell you, like, he's such a positive influence on me because there's times that I'm like, I don't really feel like exercising right now. And
Yeah,
he's like,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
you want to work out with me? Or like now he's on a cutting out bread kick. And so I'm like, okay, maybe I don't need bread with every single day or whatever, or every other day. So it's really cool when you have people around you too that are positive influences.
Yeah, it's like they mirror it back to you, and oh, okay, I'm doing something right here.
Yeah, such a good reminder. So again, too, to go back to your question, somebody who's like, I'm just getting started, find people who are positive influences. I
Mm,
know at one time in my life I didn't have a lot of positive influence in my life, and I would have said, well, where do I go? That
yeah,
intention of I need positive influence and want positive influence is enough. You'll find it. There's people out there. It's just I
yeah.
didn't have a lot of positive influence at one time in my life because I wasn't looking for
And
it.
because we were not at that vibration that we probably we're not ready at that point yet. But then
True,
once we
right.
make the decision, you'll start attracting the right people with the right vibe. Yeah.
That's very true. That is so true. Yeah, I wouldn't have received it at that time. I just wasn't there in my awareness, in my
Mm,
energetic field, in my mental field. Like I wasn't there. And I think there is something to be said about our journeys, and trusting them and
yeah.
staying open, especially when we're in those dark places and in those
Open.
struggles, that's not what we're destined for. Like there is
Yeah.
something outside of that. Because when we're in a dark spot, sometimes I think
That is
that
the
it's
end of the
easy to
world.
fall trapped into this is it.
Yeah.
So, what we do as humans, but it's like remembering, oh no, this is temporary.
This is
Everything's
just, yeah.
temporary.
Yeah. Oh, yes, I love that. Everything is temporary.
Yeah. That impermanence, right?
Yes, yes, that is so true. Because I mean, even on Earth, it's our time is temporary. So nothing.
So
Even if,
temporary.
yeah, it's like you have 100 blocks, and if you have a bad day here, it doesn't mean that you have a bad life. It's just a bad day. The next
Yeah,
block.
that's a big thing with I try to go back to Thich Nhat Hanh's five remembrances. One of them are
Right.
like I'm of the nature to grow old and die, right? Like that's one of
Yes.
the things. And then also to a self-compassion practice, which is like bringing mindful awareness to our suffering without like getting like defined by that one bad day or that one bad event, bad air quotes, you know what I mean? Or like keeping our awareness open and not disconnecting from the suffering. And then remembering
Yes.
like because we go to that place of I'm all alone, I'm the only one who has this tragedy, right? Or whatever it is, and it's unique to you, but
Yeah.
it's across the board. All humans everywhere suffer,
Yeah.
and so that helps me keep things in perspective. Like, yeah, this is, and not to discredit our suffering, right? Not to like devalue
Yeah.
it, but to
Downplay it.
remember
Yeah.
everybody everywhere suffers. I'm not the only one.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, because sometimes it feels like it, right? When
It's
we're
like, oh
having
my
such a
god,
hard
why
time.
me? Yeah.
Yeah, for me. Yeah,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. And then I'm just remembering like and then with compassion, it's like what kindness do I need for myself or how do I need to protect or provide for myself right now? Sometimes we
Yeah.
need that nurture, but sometimes we need that like we got to stand up for ourselves in this situation.
Wow, we speak the same language. Thank you so much. Okay, so what are your top three mental health tips?
Top 3 mental health tips. Believe it or not to move your body. Like they've
Okay.
done studies that with a placebo, somebody exercising and somebody on an antidepressant, like moving our body is equivalent to an antidepressant effect. For me, exercise, movement, it shifts everything. Like if I get a client in session, we start with like, talking, coaching, that kind of thing. And if we do some movement, it's amazing how much it shifts the state. It's just, we need to move our bodies. We are not meant to just sit down all the
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah.
moving our body, it's imperative, right? We're holistic beings. We have to move our bodies and it supports our mental health, not just our physical health. So that would be one. The second would be community, like living in
Feeling.
isolation or being lonely or not having a strong positive community, it takes years off our life. You look at the blue zones, you look at the people who are living
Oh
100
my
plus years of
god!
quality.
I love
It's
that document.
amazing, and they all
Oh
have community. We have to
yes,
have and I want to say a community of any sort is important. And if you can have a positive community, even much better, right? It's going to support you in
yeah,
your mental health. But I would say even having, unless it's abusive, right? Having some kind of community versus no community at all is going to help with your mental health. It's imperative as human beings. I mean, we saw during the pandemic. I think in
mm-hmm.
combination of all the other factors, that loneliness piece really put a lot of people in a dark spot.
Yeah. I mean, me included.
Yeah,
I had to
it was
pull myself
hard,
out of
right?
it. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to connect with other people. Even if you're introverted, like you still need to have a support system and have that role in the support system to give and receive with other human beings. And then other third mental health tip would be that ability to self-regulate. So I
Mm,
teach from the window of tolerance. So it's like starting to notice when you're regulated, and regulated as in like I'm grounded right now. I feel safe, like I'm in a calm spot. I don't feel like I'm in survival mode. And some people might not even know what that feeling is like. So it's like these practices of deep breathing, of activating the vagus nerve, of doing the healing work, whether it's inner child healing or shadow work. Like these are ways in which we can start to not live from that survival response. Because I find
right.
that if we're dysregulated, if we're always on the verge of like freaking out, like we
Yeah.
can't focus,
Yeah.
we're anxious all the time, we
We're
can't sit still,
anxious. Yeah.
yeah, or we're like, we don't even care, right? We don't give a crap what's going on in life. We're burned out. We're kind of apathetic. We're unengaged. Like when
Mm.
we're in those places, we're in that survival mode. And so, of course, you're not going to be able to do any deeper work. If you're in those
Yes. That's
phases, no wonder it's so hard to get into your
no
habit of
wonder I'm suffering.
exercise. Yeah, we
Yeah.
haven't even done we haven't even done the basic work or
Yeah.
basic,
Sure.
foundation of being able to self-regulate. So even whoever's listening to start to look up, how do you self-regulate? What is nervous system regulation? How is my nervous system? Because that has an effect. It's the homeostasis of our body, of our mind. And so if that's out of whack, it's hard to do any of the other things. Or if our sleep's out of whack, it affects everything. It affects our mental health big time.
Yeah. Thank you.
My pleasure.
How do you see connection being a curative modality for healing? I mean, we touched a little bit just now.
Yeah. When I started doing this healing work, I did. I felt alone. Maybe I didn't think I
Mm.
was totally alone because I knew other people who had hard times in their life, but I really was private with it. There was a lot of shame, and shame loves silence and
Mm-hmm.
secrecy and
Yeah.
judgment and criticism, right? Right? Brene
Oh
Brown's work.
God.
It loves that. And that's
Yes.
kind of like where I hung out a lot. Right? From the outside looking in though, I don't think most people would probably
Notice.
know. I was like
Yeah.
smiling. Had my own homeowner in my 20s, like lots of friends, worked in the hospital, very social, right?
Very
Like
social. Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
had a lot of shame. And when I started doing that healing work and hearing other people open up about their issues as well, oh my gosh, it like leveled the playing field. Like, oh, the doctor over here has a problem. This 22-year-old kid has this shame. This 45-year-old successful author. And like, it just, for me, it was mind blowing because I didn't grow up with like a lot of vulnerability, a lot of like honestly sharing what was going on. And if I
Right.
did, it was just from a headspace, not from a like
Mm.
heart to heart space. So
Yeah.
I think community for that sense of like realizing that all humans are passing through something and like having that safe, vulnerable space is really powerful in community. And then on the flip side, like doing things that you enjoy that build you up as part
Yeah.
of a community is so therapeutic and where it's at. Like you look back at all our ancestors, Like they had a tribe, right? They had people, they had a community that they had to talk to or they would die.
Yeah,
And there's
they'll
still,
die
we
literally.
yeah, we could
Yeah.
just stay in our rooms and order food and Amazon Prime and never leave, right? We won't physically die, but I think
Yes.
mentally and emotionally and spiritually, if that's our life, we're dying because we need that connection. If you're right, it fuels us. It really does. We host retreats, and one of the biggest things about the retreat setting is we create a really safe, loving, intimate, vulnerable container. And that's one of the things that is so transformative for people is to be able to be their real self authentically and open their hearts. Because we've been shown so many times in life that it can be scary to open our hearts.
Yeah.
And so through a community, a safe community, we have that opportunity too to be our authentic self and really open our hearts because there's so much joy in that if we keep our hearts open.
Yeah. I think I once I started my own journey going inward, and right now I'm still on it, but I think I'm in a much better place since I first started. And I think this I have come to believe that life is good, life is beautiful, no matter if I don't have like everything, that I am at peace. And I think the most important thing that a person should have, um it's inner peace, because when you have this and that material possessions but you don't have peace here and here, you're yeah, it's not good.
It's such a gift to be able to
Yeah.
have that inner peace. And I think we're always on the journey, right? I know like some of the spiritual mentors that I look up to, I hear them and I'm like, oh, they're still struggle. We're always
Yeah.
gonna have those struggles, but if we can come back to life is good, right? And
Mm.
so much of life is perspective. We can put on the perspective of like everyone and everything sucks, or we can,
Or
put on the perspective of life is good and things are overall everything is good and we get to choose.
yes, yes, choice, you always have an option. We
Yeah.
can
Oh, that
all
was so powerful too. As simple as it is to like really get that at the core, like we have the choice because it can be
yeah.
like I am this way. I've always been this way.
Oh, the
My
always have been. Oh,
Yes.
that.
Oh, my
Yeah.
family's like this, but it's like we can
This is
change our
me.
role in the
This
family.
is me.
Yeah.
Like when I hear people say that, yeah, it's you, but you have a choice. You always have a choice.
Yeah. And
That,
sometimes
that
when we're in those places, it doesn't feel like it, but like we have a choice how we engage in that situation. There's things
right.
that happen we don't have a choice, right? Like if
Yeah.
a hurricane comes and hits Florida, I don't
Yeah.
really get to decide if it does or not, but there's certain things that I'll be able to have choice in. Even if I was like stranded in my house with 10 feet of water, there's still things that I could choose or not
True.
choose. And
Yeah.
it's up to each individual, but that's like such a powerful place to
Reframe.
live from is like, okay,
Yeah.
I have some choices here at least.
You're not
Way more
stuck.
choices than we even can account for though. Because I feel like our mind will see
Exactly.
like five possibilities and there's like 5 million possibilities. I don't
Yes.
know. Yeah.
And I think the most important thing is that if you're if I think what's helped me, um whenever I feel like I'm in a position that I don't think I can go through, I would just pivot and say, okay, I'm not stuck, it's all in here, let's just figure out, let's reframe, and then let's there's always way out. And it's done wonders in my life. I don't get headaches anymore, because
Oh,
I
cool.
yeah, because before, I think during the pandemic, I was working with I was working with one of the big four. So the hours are super crazy, and the projects are meetings are back to back, and projects are so taxing, where I'm always in an anxious state. Like my boss would text me, and I would like, oh my god, I need to reply. I don't get to eat properly, and then that at one point I thought that I had really bad headaches, and then at one point I thought, touch wood, I'm gonna have like aneurysm, like that, because you can feel it to
Yeah.
that point, like my
Stress
head is
is
about to blow. Yeah, so I said,
such a real thing
that's
that
my
can wreak havoc on every aspect of our life when not managed.
and then I had to stop and listen to myself, because I feel like I was drowning. My body is drowning, and then like if you continue on, you're gonna drop dead one of these days. So what I did was I took a sabbatical. I wanted to just resign, but after consulting my father, he was like, I think you should take some time off, and I took it, and then it was so hard. 2 months not even enough, but I had to like really slow down. I had to really unlearn everything that I picked up, all the toxic behavior, toxic thinking, yeah, the belief, and oh yeah, it was a tough journey, but it has brought me here. And right now, I'm speaking to you. Those are just the building blocks.
And how powerful though that you recognized it. You're like, hold
Yeah,
on,
yeah,
this is like
yes,
not quality of life with having headaches all the time, like working like this in this capacity, like anxious, and you took the choice to take the time off and explore and unlearn, like you said, because so much of our how we need to work, how we need to show up in life, definitions of success are not our
yeah,
own personal definition. And it's like an ongoing of checking in with ourselves, right? And saying, like, okay, is this good for me? Or is this like I'm thinking I need all these things or need to do this because this is a outside influence definition of
exactly. The
success?
outside influence. Like I was, again, like we mentioned, I was an uh, overachiever when I was a kid, and through that point, I think the last straw was I was thinking that, oh, my colleague, he was there and he's now here, and I'm here, but you know what? It's okay. Like I love myself. At that point, I said I love myself. It's okay. That may be his path. I'm gonna choose another path. I said something is out there for me. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And it's like so much of that journey with ourselves and how we're being with ourselves makes such a difference. And we can still like be high performers, but
mm-hmm.
on our own
Accord
terms.
and in our own chosen field, and
Yeah, and don't have to
that is aligned
sacrifice
with
our
your
health,
purpose.
our
Yes,
mental state, our
never again.
values. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, it's like I know. To think it, to even think about it. Some of my friends said, are you gonna come back?" No, I love my life right now.
Yeah, you said something that I want to expand on, like when your boss would text you. So I used to
Yeah.
notice when I would get a text from people, if it was like I
Right.
need to talk or like I would
Oh yes.
automatically go to this like, uh-oh, either I'm in trouble or something bad. And so
Right.
when these kinds of things come up and our response to a situation seems very intense, it can be an opportunity to look back in the past, like when did I have this I'm in trouble, or when did I have the oh it's bad news? And for me,
Yeah.
I was able to connect a lot of that to my dad
Oh,
dying and getting the bad news. So
right.
when I did that inner
Right.
child healing around that point in my time and in my life, it really helped me be able to say like, oh, okay, this is just a text. Somebody needs to talk and recognize where that automatic assumption of this is going to be a catastrophe came from.
Yeah.
So for anybody
Exactly.
listening, when your response to something seems like huge, it can be another opportunity to say, hold on, there's some healing here. What is my
Yes.
what is
Yes.
my inner child need, or what is like that shadow or that dark spot of myself? What is this sad part or angry part? What are they trying to tell me here? What's
Convey.
going on
Yeah.
with them? Yeah, because we can just disregard it or we treat it like it's a reality, right? Like somebody says
Yeah.
something that brings up an insecurity and we like lash out or melt down and like, how
Yeah.
could you? Oh my gosh. And the person's like, I was just asking you a question or
Yes.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Yes.
a information that we can really use to empower ourselves if we choose.
Yes. Yeah. If you choose.
Yeah,
Keyword.
if we
If you
choose.
choose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Brittany, I'm gonna pivot to a question that is the very essence of my podcast. So this is a question that I picked out for you. Okay, so many people compare themselves to others in this age of social media, leading to feelings of inadequacy. So, in your words, how can individuals cultivate a healthy self image in the age of constant comparison?
I think partially like put on those blinders, right? Put on the blinders,
Like the
and
dog? Like when
and
they.
then come back to your heart with your eyes closed and
I like
like
that.
bring your energy back to you, because we outsource our energy a lot. Like I know with social media,
That
I'll
is
look
so
through my
true.
look through my feed, and I get a lot of positive stuff on there. But then good old comparinitis, so they say compare and despair starts
Yes.
creeping in, and all of a sudden I feel like, ooh, I feel a
Oh,
little like
yeah.
tension or a little
Yeah.
anxious or a little like, eh. And I'm like, I gotta put this down. So listening to that instead of keep scrolling through your feed, and then
Yeah.
again, like bringing your energy back to your heart, to your breath, to like that self acknowledgement piece. I find it's like really hard in the beginning. Like I'll ask clients in the very beginning, what do you acknowledge yourself for? And for some of them, they're like,
Mm.
what do you mean? I'm like, what do you like,
Mm.
like give yourself some acknowledgement or credit or gratitude for? And so getting in the practice of doing that is important. And then back to self-compassion, acknowledging like, hey, I'm judging myself for this, right? Or
Yeah.
I'm judging
Yeah.
this other person for
Yeah.
whatever.
Or whatever.
Right?
Yeah.
Because we'll
Whatever.
either compare to make ourselves feel inferior, or we'll compare to
Mm-hmm.
make ourselves feel superior, which
Superior.
both
Mm-hmm.
are toxic.
That's true. That's true.
And it's okay. We do it. We're all like, I think we almost all do it to some degree, but it's like that practice of pulling out of that when we're doing it. The more we can interrupt it, the more it's not our normal to just be in comparitis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Okay.
Yeah, good question.
Okay. So, what's your heart's greatest wish?
My heart's greatest wish.
Mhm.
Oh, I would love for humans to live more from love, like for us humans to come back to our hearts again. We like in the Western cultures, especially, live from our heads. And I think if we could drop back into our heart, that universal love that
Oh.
spans across all cultures, all religions, that would be super powerful. And love, is of course that way of being, but love is also action. So I
Mm.
think from that place, if we could drop back in our hearts, I would think it would inspire, connecting with the nature and animals and other humans in a way that was really more aligned. I mean, I think we lived in this war and love space for what, a very, very, very long time, and consciously we could have the capacity to live more from our hearts and in alignment. So that would be my that would be my dream.
Beautiful. Do you have a mantra that you live by?
I have a thing that I learned in silent retreat called Bhavanam Kevalam, and it's love
Mm.
is everything. Bhavanam
Ooh, I
Kevalam.
love that.
Yeah, love
Oh
is
gosh.
everything. So I'll
And
do I
everything is
do that.
love.
Yeah, yeah. So I go back to that one. It's like it's a grounding and puts things back in perspective. And then Ho'oponopono. That's
Ooh.
another one. It's not necessarily a mantra, but the Hawaiian prayer of I love you, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, please forgive me, thank
Please
you.
forgive me.
Like
Thank
it's
you.
another thing that I'll come back to like just ground myself, get in perspective, connect back with my heart, align everything.
So, two more questions. What gets you up in the morning?
My alarm clock and my alarm usually.
And
I'm
I both.
definitely I love
Or
my
my cat.
sleep.
My
Yeah,
cat would
my
be wondering.
dog, my husband. And also that it is a gift to get up. And then I know I have a mission in this world. I say it's mind over mattress sometimes. Like it's so cozy in that bed. It's so nice.
Yeah.
But it's like also like, okay, like once I get out of this very cozy, nice, warm space, there's also, like you said, lots of goodness and things to enjoy. So that's one of the things. Like, okay, got this.
So, okay, if you could create a quote right now for you to leave to the audience listening and the world as your legacy, what would it be?
A code?
Yeah, a quote. Like
A quote.
something.
A quote.
A quote, yeah.
Oh yes. Let's see. Oh, it's a Rumi quote.
Ooh, I love it.
What you seek is seeking you
Seeking
too.
you.
I love that one. I love that
My
one
girl,
because it's
I love that one.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, Brittany! Oh,
It's been so nice to
that was
connect with
perfect.
you, Nicolette. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
that quote. I love
exactly.
Rumi quotes.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Likewise, I'm feeling very good energy. Like the moment you texted me, and I was like, I have a good feeling about this. I have to reply her, and I
Yeah,
knew
let's definitely
I'm
stay
gonna.
in touch.
Yeah,
I hope to come your
yes.
way. I have a good friend who's out in that direction, so I would like love to stay
And
connected.
and you're in which part of the U.S.?
Florida.
Florida. Okay, Florida. Right. I've
Do you
never
ever
been to the
come?
U.S.
You haven't been?
No, I haven't. I
Oh, well,
haven't.
if you
Yeah,
ever
but
want to
I
come,
would.
we'll
Oh,
talk more.
definitely. No, yeah, exactly. I've been speaking to a lot of people, and most of them are in the U.S. So I've been making friends. Like I'm putting like a pin on the map. Like okay, I've got people in New York, and then in Los Angeles, and you, Florida.
Yeah, it's nice too because the landscape is really diverse in the US depending on where you go. So if you do make it this way and you have a little bit of time to be
Of
able to
course.
go explore and see the differences. Yeah, and let's definitely stay in touch.
Yes, I followed you on Instagram, so we'll keep in touch from there.
Perfect. Yes. I'm following you on Instagram too. Can I
Okay, so
leave can I share
yeah.
about something that the audience can get
Oh,
if we connect?
sure.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
on my
yeah.
website, which is
Right.
holisticnursecoaches.com, holistic nurse
Mm-hmm.
coaches, ES on the coaches, they can get a free EFT, that emotional freedom technique. They can get a free video for that. So they can learn
Okay.
more about it. It's easy to follow. It's like an 8-minute video, but it definitely will help reduce feelings of stress.
Okay. So I'll just include that in the caption when this episode airs.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you.
All right, I think we're right on time. So you have
Oh,
7 minutes for you to prepare for 11 o'clock, and then
Perfect. Thank you,
yeah,
Nicolette. I appreciate you. How can I support you?
I appreciate you as well.
I
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
you. Yeah, we'll be in touch.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes. You were asking me a question earlier.
How I can support you.
Oh no, just being yourself, and right now I think I have everything that I need from you.
Perfect. Yeah, and I'll share our this episode once it comes out.
Yes, I'll be clipping them and then I'll be tagging you. So you can share
Awesome.
them.
Beautiful. Cool. Sounds great.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Have
Bye
a
bye.
great
Have a good one.
sleep. Bye.
Yes. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.